When you look at Texas's offense on film, what do you see?
A very skilled, dynamic group. They're deep at a lot of positions. Coach does a phenomenal job in terms of what they are attempting to do, stretching the ball down the field, but also balancing with the run game, with the screen game. And so it'll be a great challenge our guys looking forward to.
When you see Arkansas play them pretty well, hold them to just 20, is there something there? I mean, what are you guys seeing as you guys prep this week of what it's going to take to hold them down a little bit?
Yeah, I think Arkansas did a really good job. We look at everybody that they played in the past. I mean, literally every game we go through and see things that we do, right, that can carry over. And so, they did a great job. I'm sure they'll look at that tape and have some adjustments as well. And so it's our job as coaches to find out what our guys do well, right, and put those guys in those situations as many times as possible, again, within what we do, right? And so we study other teams and what they've had success with and try to marry it the best we can. But at the end of the day, it's about what we do and our guys going out there and executing that at a high level.
Chris, when you think about it, like you play like Georgia, Tennessee, Louisville, teams like that every year, but Texas, I mean, that's only the second time. Is this almost more like a bowl prep when you're looking at a team that you guys just really have no previous film of your team playing?
Well, not quite like a bowl prep because you got a lot more time for a bowl prep. But it's like playing every week, in terms of your opponent, because the offenses adjust every year. Does that make sense? And so kind of how we go about it, we'll have our off-season studies and all that stuff where we get a chance to get familiar with who we're going to play in that upcoming season. And so then as the season goes and you get into that game week, now you kind of have an idea of who they've been in the past. And so you say, okay, are they very similar, which most offenses are, right, and what tweaks have they done? And so that's kind of how we approach it. The bowl, good thing about a bowl week, you got multiple weeks to be able to go about it, to do it. Before game week, we're concentrating one game at a time.
Chris, it seems like offenses are aggressively attacking Ryan when he's out there in coverage. How have you seen him just kind of respond and keep coming at it, playing as a true freshman, maybe playing more than you all expected?
Yeah, that's part of the position. It may seem like he's getting attacked a lot, but in reality, all those guys are getting attacked. You know what I mean? It's just a true freshman, so a lot of people pay a lot more attention to it. But that's part of the maturation process of playing that position, corner. And he doesn't shy from it. He's learning from some of those. You got to touch that hot stove. We call them scars. You got to learn from those scars. Hopefully, those scars happen in practice, right? But sometimes they happen in the game. And those ones cut a little deeper at times. But he's done a great job of being resilient, responding, and so I'm excited. Just like all the guys in the position group, it's a part of playing that spot.
Coach, what's it going to mean to have Dion, JJ, and DJ back this week?
Man, I'm excited about our roster. I always have been. We've got young men that want to play the game and want to play it the right way. You know what I mean, in terms of with their hair on fire. And so anytime they can be on the grass with us, we're excited.
It was good timing to get Max back. Stoops kept talking about, the Texas wide receivers being one of the best groups in the nation. So how do you like your secondary and getting them ready for the challenge against the, Quinn Ewers and those wide receivers?
Yeah, Quinn's a phenomenal quarterback. Does a great job in terms of understanding where he wants to go with the football and not only understanding where he wants to go with it because he has good players, but based off of what the scheme defensively gives him. They've got a plethora of receivers. From outside to inside and tight ends. And the backs do a great job in the passing game as well. And so Coach Sarkisian does a really good job, like I said earlier, being really balanced in that regard, whether it's shots, screen game, intermediate throws, boots out the pocket. So we got a challenge, and we're excited. Our guys have been excited about our schedule from the beginning of the year, and it's keeping those guys focused on 1 week at a time.
Coach,
talk about that. Right?
Go on, John. Go on, John.
People talk about right now that like Ole Miss may be playing as well as anybody in the conference, if not the country. Going into a game like this, do you guys refer back to the Ole Miss game the way you played against Ole Miss when you go face a team like Texas, or do you even have to mention that?
Well, we challenge our guys. Our guys understand the expectation right in the building, right, for us to go out and not just play hard, but continue to grow. Does that make sense? Sometimes that growth is astronomical, and you can see it right away. Sometimes that growth is really small steps, right? But that's the challenge every week. And so they understand what the expectation is in terms of, okay, let's go out there and let's compete, let's grind, let's put our best foot forward, but let's continue to grow. And so you want to learn from, most of the time, successes, right? But sometimes you learn from failures too. right? But at the end of the day, it's about that growth, and that's where our message is being consistent. Let's continue to take steps, right, in the right direction, right, and build off of things in the past, whether those were positives or negatives.
Coach, how are you trying to game plan perhaps for Arch Manning as well as Quinn Ewers?
Tough. Arch has a little bit different kind of game, right? The system's a system in what they do, but he's an athletic kid, just like Quinn, but he can get out in space and, pull the ball, things of that nature. So, there's a fine line in terms of, okay, who they are as an offense, right, and then what he does as an individual player. Again, I think Sarkisian does a great job in terms of putting those guys in positions where they can be successful, and so it's our job to focus on the big picture, right, and then how do those things adjust, maybe small details within who's at quarterback or who's not.
Chris, on Monday, Coach Stoops said he thought Texas might have the best group of wide receivers in the country. Just how did you look at them on film? How does this group kind of stack up to the other ones you've gone up against this season? Or in the past?
We played some really good ones, huh? We played some good ones. You talk about Ole Miss, you mentioned, talk Tennessee, and you talk Florida. Florida's receiver core really dynamic. But I agree with Coach in terms of, man, for the holistic and the depth that they have at the position, they're really good. They got guys who can run, big guys who can go catch the ball, challenge. Contested catches. They got guys who can play in the perimeter in terms of screens and things of that nature. So they're deep, well-rounded. It's going to be a challenge, but it's a challenge every week, So when you come into this league, you understand that, and the guys in our locker room, they salivate about that. They get excited about that challenge. And so I am as a coach as well, and looking forward to those guys going out there competing.
You mentioned Max earlier. Did he come through that first game back in action feeling good?
Yeah, Max excited, man. Max is a competitor. He is a competitor at heart, you know what I mean? And so he's excited about the competition at hand, and I'm excited to see him, man, to get an opportunity to go and compete at a high level, and so it'll be fun for him. It'll be fun.
We've asked Stoops about, keeping the bowl streak alive, and, that's been a discussion, but sometimes, in smaller rooms, do you guys talk about that too in certain position groups when you guys are, in some meetings? Is that ever a talk of like, all right, man, we got to do this for the program and lock in on that?
Yeah, our biggest thing is, we want to get better day by day. We want to get better practice by practice. We want to get better game by game. And at the end of the day, if we're continuing to do those things, the results will be the results. Right, but that's the hard part about it, right? The process, man. The process is tough. Sometimes it looks really pretty, and sometimes it's gritty and it's ugly, right? But its key is to continue to fight to be consistent in that process. Good, bad, or indifferent, right? Let the results be the results, but good, bad, or indifferent, then we continue to take those steps. And that's the challenge, right? We talk about that as DBs because one play, you're a great player, right? And then one play, okay, whatever it may be, the average fan may see it as your mistake, but it may not be, right? And you're an awful player. All right, but did I continue to grow? Does that make sense? And so that's the message that we talk about positionally is, man, continue to get better, right? Right in the moment, right outside of the moment, let's learn and grow from those things. And so that's kind of been our message in terms of individually positioning, if that makes sense, in the DB room.
And going back to look at the film from this past week and having a chance to put so many young guys out there to get a look at, did anything surprise you all? Did you pleasant surprises?
Well, again, it was great for those guys, man, who've been growing, developing, and playing some special teams roles to get out there in some defensive scenarios and some offensive scenarios. It's funny, a lot of times we see it in practice, you know what I mean? So we kind of have an idea, right? But you guys don't always get a chance to see that, right? So it's not as many surprises in terms of the positive. You may get a negative surprise like, man, I did not like that. I did not like that, but most of the time we have an idea of what we anticipate happening when they step on the grass.
Yeah. Quay looked like he played outside cornerback, and I think he's played some nickel or dime inside some this year. See a guy maybe going forward could be maybe like an Andrew where he slides inside and out, and just where do you all see him, and how have you seen him progress as a true freshman?
Yeah, Q Scott's done a really good job in terms of what we talked about earlier, kind of, continuing to grow and develop, continuing to be consistent, right? Putting in those unseen hours that give you an opportunity to go play with confidence, right, and use the God-given ability that he has. And so we're excited about his future, just like all those guys, man. It's the process though for him, and sometimes it's easy for those guys to understand it, and sometimes it's not, right? But he's done a great job of investing in that, right? And he's starting to see some of those benefits. Like I said, he's played a ton of for us on special teams throughout the year, and he's continued to grow. And so I don't know what the future holds for him, right? But at the end of the day, I do know, right, as long as he continues to develop and trust that process that we have in place, he's going to be successful because he's wired the right way.
Okay, folks, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.